Hello, I'm Kim Rosenfield, and I am thrilled to be reading to you from my Fence Books Autoline Prize winning book, Phantom Captain, published in 2023. I'm also equally thrilled to be reading to you as a finalist for the Big Other Poetry Prize. Here's Phantom Captain. There is a great deal to know about myself before I can start to see another. The metaphor of a sailboat helps me understand how I took in water in the form of pain, even before my first breath. And by the time I finished grade school, my boat sat with tattered sails, low in the water, hull already full. I must try to release the water of the past. Every emotion is true. Every psychoanalytic fact accurately represented when there is no further backward turn and all political maneuvering has quietly come to an end. In this very identity sits a pleasurable condition void of wishes, set in she, her position as precious as a build-out of loneliness for two. Hushing up tactics suffer greatly under the burden of themselves. When you look at analysis as a sort of Christmas present, or a homeland of emotional life, or a concern with the family constellation, or genesis of illness, which makes us all into astronauts. I keep talking to myself, but I don't answer me so good. My aim in life is to expect others to conform to my particular ideals, even if we all have trouble jumping the waves of hoops popping up. Therefore, I learned a new euphemism for an old obsession: dropping kiddies at the pool. It functions like religion for people leading lives for whom those aims need to be able to come true. Keeping busy with regular routines is a coping mechanism for everybody who does not like us clowns who are actually not just joking. I'm hoping this book is remote from intrigue, as I hate it when philosophers fall back on affinity for the familiar, because the heartbreak becomes wider and sadder then. The best thing now would be for all associations to blow up. Here's my longing to be known and my fear of being known and the uncanny of not knowing and the ineffable experience of the limitless infinite and the unthought known in forms of not knowing and the dialectic interplay between discovery and avoidance and making myself known to others and being in the public eye versus the blank screen and the need to feel known or to remain unknown and unconscious knowing and the unknown core and the illusion of knowing and the role of values and cultural norms in shaping knowing and being known, the mutual desire and fear in the room and the contested zone that demarks the boundaries between me and you, us and them, I and not I, and facts falsely represented as desires and desires falsely represented as facts, and naming and locating inside and outside and myself and others, and the collaborative intersubjective processes between subject and biographer and developmental accomplishments attained through gaining the capacity to recognize and face and bear lonely feelings and accepting and tolerating pain and frustration and intimacy, and how many narratives interweave to express affects and intentions and goals of each member of the human race. This is your absolute last chance to contact a very interesting man who is on the precise same page as you. My changes are rapid enough to defy recognition. There are those who expect me to function as anyone who attempts to be disguised as a normal person. This is an old possession for people like me, who realize how little anyone has learned from lessons constantly being served up by people who wish I had a more positive attitude. The conclusion is this: a relationship ends when a person is reduced to serving as a kind of object. God, I wish I had a wife like you. Everything is now an old story, and much of my confusion is about how day and night split into parts by the motion of the universe. Everyone laughed at me as I tried to understand why it got dark at night and why light returned in the morning. I'm trying to deal with troubling matters as thoroughly feminist moments. Take the innocence of financial planners, whose only connections are, at best, in a manner what might be regarded as impersonal, whose expectations imply that the accumulation of wealth is the sole context through which activities that are awarded the utmost significance in our world are judged. The best example of this thinking is the idea metaphors are investments instead of possessions. In conveying social relations and their incumbent responsibility on us, on our investment in weapons, on our wars against drugs, on over 6 million plus people in prisons right now, all of whom are being rationalized by just about everybody as steps that might be taken so that we can live in a world with an economy that is truly great, that breaks its own neck if anyone with instincts is allowed to try to defend themselves. Americans are terrible readers of anything as old and complex as a 1757 work on how sublime and beautiful changes upset our lives and became traumatic ideologies getting crowded out by a future like manners maketh the man. We didn't fall for World War wit. Humor of the forbidden went on and on and on, and we had to function with creative tensions that produced emotional intensity. My attitude should become more like my way of describing great observations. I need to know from all the whatnot that gets in my way of thinking about what is going on. That's when I'll finally have insight into what is bothering my characters. World War wit is based on forbidden reciprocity that stands above political thinking's shoulders. Peace without victory is lacking in triumphalism. Here, I'm thinking of war as a problem to be solved by not joining either side. I break the sword and am caught like a bunch of baby Babylons, meeting Gog and Magog for the first time, as I line up for half an apocalypse forever, if we even last that long. I take a dim view of the last 100 years when parvenu leapfrog kept going in different directions and people scattered forever in a progressive, emotional Nagasaki. I will never fight another war again, as I would just get naked, like when the most powerful earthquakes in my lifetime send puissant waves of water over our land. Institutions expand collective thinking to match the problems of individuals, all the while expecting to make un-American activities involve eligible women in higher numbers. I'm only betting on a casino of possibilities that this will become nothing different. What I thought I needed, only an angel could provide, through terror, disdain, and destroying me. The earth wants to say this in words, or in a Rodin sculpture. People will die not knowing what hit them. I tried to pick some lines from poems that wish you were here.